It's roundtable discussions about real estate. How can we help each other? What resources are in the room that other people need? We do introductions from everybody and what our wants and needs are. And then I bring in a lot of speakers. Like I'll bring in an attorney. I'll bring in another CPA. I'll bring in, next month I'm having somebody come in and talk about the differences and challenges between out-of-state and in-state investing and the property management aspect of that. So it's all about education, and that's the most important thing. I kind of went over this a little bit. I invest in buy and hold investments first. My goal is cash flow. I constantly build my cash flow through joint ventures with different investors. We do a lot of trust deed investments and notes. I love notes. Notes are absolutely great. You can really get creative with your finance and increase your returns significantly when you start investing in notes. One of the biggest things that we do is we actually go through and educate our investors every step of the investment process. I want them understanding what due diligence needs to be done on every investment and how they should be analyzing these things for their own comfort level. I use my mother as an example. She was my very first investor. And if those tenants do not pay by the 5th of the month, she's screaming, saying, I can't, well, not really screaming, but basically saying that she can't retire, scared to death, you know, and that's a perfect example of know your own, know your own tolerance level and your own, assessment for what your comfort level is. If you feel like, a tenant's not going to pay by the 10th and it's going to freak you out every month, or the 5th, it's not going to, then don't invest in real estate. Because there's fluctuations when it comes to that. Invest in notes or invest in something different, because those are set payments or something more comfortable for you. I also help a lot of investors self-direct their retirement accounts. Karin at UDirect is, I hate to say this too much because I feel like I'm marketing for you too much, but honestly, I use her for all of my transactions with self-directed IRAs. The other companies that I deal with, they're not timely on their administrative function. She funds in 24 to 48 hours. They're a lot cheaper than a lot of their competition. They really communicate well. There's a lot of those things in real estate. You have to have something fun like that a lot of times. If you want to get that deal, it needs to be funded fast, and so that's extremely important. I also do some syndications. Anybody understand what a syndication is? Anybody not understand what a syndication is? Okay. So a syndication, all it is a different type of real estate investment where you pool investors' funds together and you put it against either one asset or multiple assets, and so you're diversified across multiple assets, and you can invest that way, and usually in smaller chunks of money, usually $20,000 to $30,000 and up, but depending on the investment. And but there's a set term, there's a set structure involved that you have to follow, and it's all licensed through the SEC, so you have to get it all taken care of the right way that way. So, and if you're not an accredited investor, there's a limit to the number of people that can invest. Accredited investors are investors who make over $200,000 a year for the last 2 years or have $1 million in net worth. So the government says, hey, investors, you guys are smart enough to take on additional risk of what they perceive as risk. So we also do taxation and bookkeeping. We have a truly turnkey system. We do the property analysis. We acquire the properties for our investors. We have a local network and a team in place, which your team is going to be the most important part of your success. If you don't have good team members, you're not going to be successful. You're going to lose money. Can you imagine having an inefficient property management company, or bad appraisers, or bad inspectors that don't give you all the detailed reports that you really want to see? So all of those different things can play into you losing money if you don't do it correctly. We also have a guaranteed tenant. We do criminal and background checks on every single tenant, criminal and financial checks. We help our investors with the exit strategy. You should know up front what your exit strategy is going to be. And it may change during time, but you should update, and look at your situation on an annual basis to see, hey, has it changed? Do I want out? Do I want to reinvest my money? Did I gain a bunch of equity and now I can cash in on it? So, and we also help with the financing. We do a lot of seller financing and things like that. I told you I'm getting into notes and things like that, and it's absolutely amazing what you can do with that. This is one of my best friends, Lester, living in Memphis right now. And we bought him a house. It's actually right outside of Memphis in Olive Branch. We bought him a house for $200,000. It's 3,000 square feet on an acre of land on a golf course. Wow. So he's pretty happy. He's like, except for the weather that he complains about, because it's obviously different than California. But he actually cares about our investors because I make him care. He actually said to me one time that he gets really stressed when these tenants are not paying because he knows that that's people's income, that's people's money that he's got to go and explain to people if someone doesn't pay on time or if there's a repair or something like that. And so he gets all the backup, he gets all the pictures and receipts of every single expense, really goes through and tries to communicate correctly with the investors. Because I don't know about you, but if someone's not communicating with me and I haven't heard about my property in a couple weeks, I'm getting a little nervous. I'm going, what's happening with my investment? And so one of the differences here is on the management side, we don't have any markups on any repairs. There's no advertising costs. There's no accounting costs. There's no other costs except for the management fee. We charge a 10% management fee based on the rents, and that's it. And it's really important that you analyze the different management companies for those different things and take a look at the contracts and see what you're actually looking for and look at those contracts in detail to see if there's any conflicts of interest. You know, if someone charges a flat management fee and it's whether it's rented or not, that's a complete conflict of interest because they get paid whether you get paid or not. And that's, you know, that's how mutual funds work. That's not the best thing to do. So, and we also have a nonprofit organization called the Good Life Foundation, and the whole goal of this is to teach our tenants financial education, do credit repair, resume building, personal budgeting, and you know, I'd say less than 25% of the tenants actually want to do it because who wants to let you in and look at their financial situation, especially when you don't have a good financial situation, people are embarrassed. But at the very least, it causes proper communication with our tenants. They're not afraid of you. If something happens, they'll call you and talk with you about it if there's an issue. There's a lot more communication that happens and goodwill, in my opinion. We send out monthly newsletters to them, things like that. So let's talk about the problem. These guys are the problem, right here. And why do you think that is? Does anybody have an idea as far as, anybody have a comment as far as what they think about these companies? Yeah.
Besides me.
She's heard my presentation before, so. So basically, in my opinion, these companies make money whether you make money or not. They go through and so they charge you fees, which are a significant portion of your actual gains. So if you looked at the gains and the compounding of those fees over like a 50-year period of time or 40-year period of time, it'd be about 80% of your gains are being taken up in fees. So you're investing 100% of the money, you're taking 100% of the risk, and you're getting 20% of the gains, and they make money whether you make money or not. Now, why is this happening? It's because these companies govern our education about what we can or cannot invest in, what our options are. And the government funnels it right into these companies through 401ks, through different IRAs. Thank God for self-directed retirement accounts. But those are the types of things that are not taught to us. You know, you look at Money Magazine and they're talking about the new investment now for cash flow, and they're talking about a 3% growth rate. Inflation is 8% right now. Bernanke's like, no, it's only 1%. But if you went and measured inflation the same way they did in 1982 before the government actually changed it so that they could hide it better from us, it's really 8%. So if you're not making at least 8% on your money, you're losing purchasing power, you're losing wealth. And people say, well, I got my money in CDs, it's the safest investment there is. That's the riskiest investment it is. You're locking in your money to lose because of inflation. And you think inflation's bad now. Look at the money that people are printing, the government's printing right now. It's unbelievable. And this is what this produces, those investments. Retirees over the age of 65, only 1% of them are self-sustaining. 16% are still working, 52% are dependent on charity, and the rest are dependent on their relatives. That's a big problem. That means these investment methods are not working. Either that or people are just really uneducated and just sticking their money in there and forgetting about it, which a lot of people do, and they shouldn't. You should always be looking at these things, whether you're investing these or different assets. So people need to understand that there's more assets out there, different types of assets that you can invest in that actually have 10 times less risk than these, because you can mitigate that risk. Like I was talking about the CDs, these are the CD rates. It's ridiculous. I mean, you see these things and it just makes you mad. So what's the goal? It's obviously to cover all of your monthly expenses with cash flow. Now I get a lot of wholesalers, beginning investors saying, hey, I want to be a wholesaler. I need to gain my wealth. I need to increase my equity so that I can have enough cash flow to live on. And I'm like, okay, well, what is your goal? Your goal is to build your equity so that you have enough cash flow. So why not just skip the equity section and just start developing cash flow? There's a ton of ways to do that in real estate. There's so many creative ways, and the more you learn, the more weapons you add to the fire, the more amazing it is. For example, I did a deal where I was all into the property for $70,000. I sold it. It was worth $150,000. Rents for $1,500 a month. I sold it to another investor for $112,500 with $60,000 down, and I financed the difference over 15 years. So she owed me a loan of $52,500. She's paying me $500 a month for 15 years on my $10,000. That's a 60% return on investment every year for 15 years on my $10,000. My investor is making a 25% return on investment. It's pretty interesting the different ways that you can both make money together by structuring different things. So the goal is to cover all these with expenses, but if you have $6,000 a month in living expenses, you need to have $10,000 a month in cash flow so that you can actually continue to build that. Remember, inflation is happening. This is going to be continually rising. That means you have to have money to reinvest into more cash flow to continually build your cash flow stream. Okay? Passive income really is the goal. Take it from somebody who works 70 hours a week, like me. I mean, but I work 70 hours a week not to pay my bills. I work 70 hours a week so that I can create more cash flow and buy more assets that create cash flow passively. Because I love doing that. It's so amazing. Like the $60,000 or the $70,000 deal that I did where I was in it for 10, like it's just beautiful. It's just amazing that you can structure deals like that. And it's all about your education and knowledge base. So invest in those different types of assets. Trust deeds and promissory notes, rental property. Businesses are one of the best cash flow machines you can find. So always think like Robert Kiyosaki says, think like the business owner, not the self-employed if you can, and go through and find ways to make money and sell different products online. Different businesses are really easy to start on a small scale, and then if you set it up so that someone else is doing it for you, you're creating a cash flow machine. Annuities, dividends, and then you can invest through your self-directed retirement account. Who understands this structure? Does anybody understand what a checkbook-controlled LLC is? Who does not? Okay. So when you invest through your self-directed retirement account, one, you're not paying any taxes on your gains. You can go flip properties inside of your IRA on a limited basis. You can't be doing like 50 a year inside your IRA, or it's going to be considered a taxable business. But you increase your interest. It compounds significantly more because you're not having to pay tax on those gains. And you get to your retirement goals a lot faster that way, and you build an annuity inside your own retirement account. So this structure right here is a way to take a lot greater control over your own retirement. So you have your current IRA and your 401k plan, and you can roll it right into a self-directed custodian like UDirect. Now they have the funds, the custodian has the funds, or the custodian has the funds, and what you can do is you can set up an LLC that is owned by your IRA. It's not owned by you. Your IRA owns it. But you can be the manager for that LLC, and the LLC has a checkbook or a bank account, and you can be writing checks right out of the LLC for different investments. And it goes all right back into LLC, all tax-free, right back into your IRA. It's pretty amazing what you can structure to do this stuff. And you can invest in tons of different investments that way. There are some few limitations, and you've got to be careful about who you do business with. So let's talk about the power of compound interest. I mean, everybody kind of has an idea for it, but they don't really see it on paper and really, see what the power is. So let's look at an 8% trust deed, a 12% property, and a 3% CD, starting with $50,000, reinvested annually, and then adding another $20,000 a year, which is your typical contribution to a 401k plan, plus an IRA, maybe an HSA plan. So you're starting with $50,000. In 30 years, you're looking at $7 million versus $1 million in capital. This is just the principal. Okay, this is not the cash flow. Now let's look at the cash flow and think about how much money you're going to need to actually retire. Year 30, 70,000 versus 27,000. I want 70,000. I don't know about you guys, but I want the 70,000 a month. That's monthly cash flow. That's not annual. Okay? So look at some of those differences. That's huge. What